Alright, so a little video update, mostly for me, to see the progress on our farm. Real quick, these are paste tomatoes. They're going to go in late, and started late. We're waiting on a greenhouse, so these will eventually go inside a greenhouse. But in the meantime, there used to be a fence right here, and we pulled that up with the excavator, and then the excavator broke, so we're waiting on it to get fixed. And then we will pull out these trees here and then use the bush hog and then the tiller to get all of this gone. And then we are going to trench right here and make a low spot so the water can flow from the house and from the greenhouse. And then we have a ditch right about in there for the water to flow to. And we also have the water flowing from the front of the house directed to that spot as well. And then there is a driveway where we have pipes going underneath the road, and then it continues out to the big trench out there for the water to flow to. So gotta take care of this before we can get our greenhouse. We were approved for grant money, so we have funding for a greenhouse. I'm hopeful that we'll get a 30 by 100. I think it's actually 96 feet, but that will go in this space. We just tilled under our cover crop. Got some pinto beans actually as a test. We planted pinto beans that were store-bought, just Walmart variety pinto beans, to see if they were the vining variety or the bush variety. So we're trying to wait to see what that is, because it makes a difference on how you plant them. There's my soap shop right there in various stages of completion with a bunch of junk laying around it. We've got most of the trenching and irrigation lines covered back up. We just gotta cover up this one section still. We got to get a bigger box to put over the valves before we can cover it up. But everything else is covered. We now have irrigation out to the half-acre plot. This is almost exactly a half-acre. These are 100-foot rows by 4 feet. So they're 4-foot rows by 100 feet long. We're gonna put in a real gate, both a man gate and then a 12-foot gate. But in the meantime, just got netting. All right, so this bed here was put in first last year. It's about 5 feet. This one here is 6 feet. So those were already here before we put in the rest. So everything else is a 4-foot bed. Our squash is looking amazing. Last year was an epic fail, so this is super, super exciting for me. I am trying to figure out how to combat the bugs. Disclaimer, we are trying to do everything organically, but last year I got 0 zucchini. I mean 0. So if we have to, we'll use something, but we have bees here, so it has to be bee friendly. So right now what I'm using, as you can see, there is dusting on there. It's food grade DE, and it essentially cuts through the body of the insects and dehydrates them. And so we are putting them just on the base of the plant and on some of the leaves, but I cover any flowers with my hand before I do it so that the bees don't have any on them when they go in the flowers. And we've already harvested 6 zucchini off of this in the past week. Let's see what we got here. Here's the beginning of a little butternut squash. You can see it right there. And then I've got zucchinis. Looks like I've got one to pick right here. And then I've got some more forming down here. I mean, there's just so many of them. I'm so excited. Look at that. Another one. Oh, look at that one. Holy moly, I gotta pick that one today. Same with that one. It's just, holy cow, look at that. I'm just so thrilled because last year, like I said, I got none, so this is cool. And then down here is acorn. So I got butternut, then zucchini, and then acorn. See the little acorn squash? And then at the end here, I've got lemon squash. I love lemon squash. They're so cute. They literally look like little lemons. Of course, they don't taste like lemon, but they've got kind of a nutty flavor. And I started these from seed, where I started all of these and transplanted these guys. So these are behind. I had to wait until that last random frost that we had in April, which surprised me. But so they're coming along, but they're behind the others. Just trying to see if I could see any forming yet, because there is a few flowers, but nothing so far. And we've got, this row is all hot peppers. A few have died, so I'm going to replace them. The next row is sweet peppers. So one side is sweet bananas and the other side is bell peppers. And then the next row is a little bit of a few different things. So got little roselle hibiscus right here on the end, and those will get really tall, so they're at the very end. And I just planted some seeds in here. See if any of them are popping up yet. Oh, there we go. So I planted more zucchini, about 30 of them, because I'm trying to put together farm boxes, and the 18 plants I have over there of zucchini is just not going to be enough. So hopefully those will continue producing, and then these 30 more that I planted here will be producing about the time. You can see my little tomatoes over there and the peppers here. By the time those start producing, hopefully these will be too. And then we've got cucumbers here. I still got to put up a trellis on these 2 rows. That's this weekend. We're gonna do that this weekend. So cucumbers start about right here, and they go through here. They've just sprouted as well. And then the rest of it, this is eggplant. So there's my little eggplants. They're starting to do well. Peppers are a little bit behind. I actually planted this row of banana peppers, and then we were gonna get that freak random frost in April, and so I actually pulled them out of the ground, put them in the shed until after that frost, and then I replanted them because I had just done it, so I knew that their roots weren't established. So, but this row I just covered with frost fabric, so they are bigger and they're doing really well. So that row is jalapeno peppers, cayenne peppers, and poblanos in that row. And the very end is a few I started from seed that are Sugar Rush Peach, which I've never tried. It's an heirloom variety from Baker Creek. And then yesterday I planted most of these tomatoes. This is the second time I've actually planted this row of tomatoes, so hopefully they'll do better this time. And then this weekend we're gonna put up the trellis for them. We need to burn holes in the landscape fabric here and pull these weeds here at the front, and then I can get this row planted. I'm unsure what I want to plant. I've got green onions that need to be planted, like bunching onions, and then I have okra that needs to be planted. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with this row. And then these 2 rows are potatoes. They're almost ready to be harvested. These got planted the first day of March. So I've got red potatoes here, white potatoes there, some random sunflowers I just sprinkled on the ground here and there. So that'll be pretty when they sprout. I've got green beans sprouting, but the weeds, man, the weeds. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to combat the weeds because I don't want to spray anything on them. And then back there will be the corn, and that there's patch right there. I've already seeded the corn. But I had to buy a new seeder. I have the Earthway seeder, and as you can see, it does not do a very good job at burying the seeds. I mean, they're sprouting, but they're on top of the soil, a lot of them. And so I've tried to come back through and cover them, but this is a lot of ground to cover because this whole thing is planted with beans. I mean, from here I can see beans sitting on the top of the soil over there. So I'm gonna have to come back through here with compost and cover them, which is labor intensive and annoying, but I will do it. We also need to put in the permanent irrigation here. This is just temporary hosing and sprinklers. But the corn and green beans will be overhead irrigation, and then everything else is on drip irrigation. And then it also is on a timer, so that is nice. And with the landscape fabric, it makes it pretty darn easy to maintain. I need to finish putting some mulch in the ends of these 2 rows as well. But when these potatoes come out, we've got sweet potato slips on order. They will go in these rows. So we have that planned out. This stuff should stay in the ground until fall. So we are doing pretty well. This row over here I kind of glossed over. It's kale, celery, and collards in that row. But as I'm pulling out collards that are done, there's a few more I need to pull out, a couple that have gone to seed. And I've started planting some extra acorn and butternut squash that I had in seed flats that I didn't sell. So I went ahead and planted them there. So that's the start of the very first, the very first time we've used this space. This was all woods when we bought this property, and it's taken us a couple of years to clear it and prepare the land. It's taken us all 3 years. It's gone very slowly, but we only do it in our spare time, which we don't have a lot of. So I'm just thrilled that we get to use it now. It's definitely come a long way from when it started. And then what else? This here is just kind of a staging ground right now. We need to clean it up though, because that is going to be our parking area for the farm, so people can pull in. We still need to get it gravelled and graded so that it's not so bumpy, but people can pull in here, park here, and then that will be the soap shop, my herb drying station in the back, and then a little storefront in the front where people can buy stuff out of a glass case refrigerator, as well as all the soap and tea blends and everything else that we're gonna sell. Bob from Poet's Blend has his bees here. We will probably sell his honey out of that shop also. So, got my mulch and my compost here. I need to clean up this area. That is the T-posts that are gonna go for the trellis for the tomatoes this weekend. We've got some chain link fence that's gonna be our trellis. So, making progress. Our chickens are in here. We just recently got rid of our goats. They were goats that we bought for the kids, but they really didn't spend much time with them. And if I'm gonna have goats, I really want pure bred registered Nubians. So we went ahead and rehomed the goats that we had. One of them, her name was Mayhem. She came by her name honestly. She can jump a 6-foot fence with barbed wire. So she was just getting into the garden and eating everything. And so it was time for her to go. But this is the home of our future greenhouse. Let's use the glare. Walk over here. Got to clear this section off, grade it, put in a trench on this side. That way we have a trench, a lower spot on both sides for water to flow to. It will keep the water off the main access back here. You can see the bees over there. I'm gonna clean up this area. That's all the fencing. That fence came down and it's piled right there until we can get rid of it. But this area here will either be a patch of sunflowers or hibiscus or moringa. I haven't decided yet. We've got burn piles that we need to burn up and then clear this land so we can put in more garden space, but that won't be this year. That's future projects for next year. So current project, just cleaning this up, getting the greenhouse built, finishing the shed, and finishing the last few projects in the half-acre garden plot. So it's really coming along. I'm excited. Lots of progress. I can't wait until this farm is picturesque and beautiful. This is the front yard garden. I am waiting for all the crimson clover through here to get done blooming. The bees love it, so I let it just bloom wherever it wants to bloom. It's even in the driveway and in all the walkways. Makes it look kind of wild and messy, but as soon as it is done blooming, I'm gonna pull it. I'm actually gonna wait for the seeds to drop, or right before they're gonna drop, and I'm gonna move them and sprinkle the seeds in other places. So just wanted to show the progress of the front yard garden. Needs a lot of work. Gotta finish weeding. Weed the walkways, weed eat the walkways, and then finish planting this area.